Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I'll have a guest on from West Georgia Health that will be representing HSS. Also, I will have a guest on from Keep Troop Beautiful. So stay tuned for those interviews coming up in just a moment. Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm sitting down with the Director of Safety, Safety Officer, and Emergency Manager from the West Georgia Health, Adrian Arriaga. Adrian, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you, and I think you're pretty much a newcomer to our city, right, Adrian?
Absolutely, yes. I've been here for now, well, this will be 6 months. So
oh my, okay.
6 months.
Well, I always have to ask the question, when someone is new to our community, I always like to know what brought them here, and I know that you work for West Georgia Health, but tell us a little bit of background about yourself, if you don't mind.
Well, to be honest, what brought me here is the company that I work with. I do work with West Georgia Health, but I'm contracted with a different company. My parent company is HSS Incorporated, and we are a specialized security firm that specializes in healthcare security and aviation security. So I was in Arizona. That's where I started, born and raised. Okay. At the age of 18, I left and joined the Marine Corps. Had a passion for law enforcement and police work, so I had jumped into the Marine Corps, just saying, hey, I was young, why not? Let's go ahead and check this out, and not knowing what I was getting myself into. Ended up loving it, though. I was a police officer, criminal investigator, did some non-lethal weapons instructing, and also did some work as an anti-terrorism level 2 officer. Oh my. So I enjoyed that for quite some time. I'm married, have a family, and after 12 years of doing it on active duty, I decided it was kind of time for a little bit of a change. We had parted ways. Been to Okinawa, been in California, dabbled a little bit in Arizona, went to Quantico for a little bit for some training and stuff like that. So kind of been all over the world. Yeah. Deployed a few times as well. After I got out, we moved back to Arizona. Like I said, I got into healthcare security off of a whim, I guess you could say. Okay. I was trying to find that filler thing because at the time I'd applied to try and get into Border Patrol and other stuff and get back into the law enforcement world. And I was pursuing my degree as well in emergency management and homeland security. So I jumped into the healthcare security realm, and I found a passion for it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the emergency management side of it. I really liked it. Okay. I ended up leaving them pretty quickly and got into working with the Department of Defense as a police officer again, just because that's where I had originally put my passion towards. But I came to find that I was missing it. I was missing that emergency management side. I was missing the security for the healthcare side, and that's when I found HSS. Okay. And the company, they're amazing. We specialize, like I said, in the healthcare security setting and also the aviation security setting. But we also offer EM solutions, and that's where we bring our big side to the hospital is being able to be integrated with them, and being a part of West Georgia Health is like none other. Being able to bring that to the table, but be integrated with a team of professionals that I work with at the hospital is pretty amazing. Okay, well, very good. I mean, a couple of things there. I see we count some things in common there. I, too, was law enforcement officer for 7 years here in the city of LaGrange. Okay. And you're a Marine. I didn't join up with the Armed Forces, but I like to think that I try to put in my time in service as well. So we thank you not only for your service there to the Marine Corps, but also for what you bring now to West Georgia Health. And I think they're going to benefit from it seems like the extensive background. I heard terrorists there, being, I guess, trained in that as well. Level 2, I understand? Yeah, I'm a level 2 anti-terrorism officer, so right. Yes. Very good. Now, let's talk about your role there at West Georgia, because you've been there now since about June. You're correct. So you're kind of a new kid on the block. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you guys are putting in place without giving away those pertinent things. Well, like I said, we belong apparently to HSS, but what we like to bring to the hospital is basically just an all well-rounded, secured campus, if you would say. Okay. The big thing is to provide not only security for the staff, the patients, the visitors, and everybody else that's there. So it's the hospital has a huge job trying to provide what they need to the patients, and vice versa. The patients having to come in and not feel well and need some care, and you want to come to that safe environment. That's right. So when you come to that hospital, that's what we really provide, is when you walk into that door, that customer service of just feeling safe. You walk into that environment and you see a security officer standing there, but not just standing there against the wall, aggressive, but making contact and saying, hey, how are you doing today?
Okay.
What can we do for you? That's what we're really focused on, is really trying to get out there and make contact with the community and the people at the same time as of keeping a well-secured environment. On the emergency management side, being really prepared. We prepare at the hospital for everything, it's from tornadoes to floods, and we also do training.
Okay.
We do training in the sense of, we have active shooters. It is a reality in the world that we live in today. So we want to make sure that our staff is prepared to kind of handle that kind of an environment if it does happen. We do other exercises for stuff like a tornado or whatnot. Perfect example, we had the tropical storm Erica that was
right.
supposedly possibly going to hit. We recently we're trying to do our preparations for that to make sure that we were prepared enough to, if something did in the event happen in the
okay.
community or to our hospital, that we were ready for it. And then as the safety officer role, basically making sure that our environment, not only on the internal side but external side, is good for the patients, for the visitors, and for the staff. We look for little things, the faulties in the ground, so nobody's tripping and falling when they
okay.
come up. Making sure that there's no downed trees in the area. Make sure that all the lights work. We don't want anybody walking in the dark, in the parking lot in the middle of the night, tripping and falling when they're trying to get to their car. So it's just that well-rounded whole security base that we're trying to provide for the community, for the people that come up to West Georgia Health, to basically be able to get service.
Okay. There's a lot there, a lot of common sense things. Like talking about the lightings. And I know that, I've been there on the campus, and it has the blue call buttons that you can push
yes.
for emergency help if you need. And the lighting is so important, because a lot of people, when they come on the campus, sometimes it is during the nighttime, and they want to, they may have to park kind of a way away from the facility itself, if they came early in the day. Patrolling the campus, you have security that patrol the campus after hours and things of that nature?
Absolutely. We patrol the campus 24/7, 365. We're always there.
Okay.
So we like to split up our guys and make sure that we've got exterior patrols, we've got interior patrols. We've actually even got 24-hour coverage in our emergency department. And just like you said, as bring up a good comment about, it is dark in the middle of the night. It's not just about the security, but if we want to help out too. We're part of, this community. We're part of West Georgia Health, so we want to make sure that, hey, if you're that patient, you're coming out, we know that you're coming out of the hospital for some type of reason, whether it been because you only had the sniffles or maybe you had a surgery or whatnot. Let us know. We'll give you a ride to your vehicle. We'll take you out there. We'll put you. We got a little key out there. It's an SUV. It's big enough. We'll take you to your vehicle. Give you a ride. If you show up here, you're in frantic because there's an emergency, and you accidentally locked your cars in the car, or your keys in the car. Excuse me. And you need help. We're there to help. We'll come out there. We'll see what we can do. If we can't, we'll at least get somebody in there that can help you, make some phone calls. Those call boxes are for just that. If you have an emergency, you need our help. Maybe you're lost. You don't even know where you're at. So you push the call button. You say, hey, this is a big campus. How do I get to where I'm going? We'll come right out there, pick you up, because it actually shows up on our radios to where we know where the location is. So we can go out there and help out. Okay. So that's what we want. We want to make sure, that everybody's taken care of and that they know that they can rely on security for help.
Very good. Now let me ask you, Adrian, now a lot of times people come to the campus and, you may have, a variety of visitors. Hunters, carry a pocket knife, or, now we have the right to bear arms and things of that nature, firearms. What are some things that the visitors can do to help your job be easier?
We do know that does happen. You get people that come in, like you said, hunters, contractors that, while they were on the job, they slice their finger or whatnot, and they come in. We do ask that, as for weapons and of any kind in the hospital, if they have the ability to refrain from bringing them, just because, it does kind of raise an eyebrow for some and make some people uneasy, to leave them in their vehicle or to not bring them on campus. If for some odd reason they do, and it is one of those things that, hey, it was an emergency, I needed to come in, I totally forgot that I had a knife or whatnot in my pocket, just let the nursing staff know. They'll get it, and they'll say, hey, for just the meantime, do you mind? We're going to give this to the security guys. Okay. They'll put it and lock it up in a safe, and then once you get ready to be discharged, we'll go ahead and give that back to you at the end and let you go. Okay. We just want to make sure that it's a safe environment for everybody. Right. We don't want it to get into the wrong hands, so that way it's secured. Absolutely.
Now let's just say emergency situation. You talked about the emergency readiness for tornadoes and things of that nature. Let's say you actually had an incident there on the campus.
Okay.
An active shooter, perhaps.
Okay.
What is your first protocol?
Well, we want to try and make sure that through our technologies that we actually have in the hospital, that we not only notify the staff of what's going on, so we have we go off of a code system.
Okay.
So different colored codings, whether or not it be, like we said, code pink is for our babies, active shooters, of course, for an active shooter. Mm-hmm. But then pretty much we go on a lockdown procedure, so we have the ability to lock the facility down, so that way we don't have incomers or outgoers, coming in any further, to where we can try and get the people out of the hospital, because that's our main thing, is we want to make sure that everybody gets out. Mm-hmm. and we lock down the area, so that way nobody's trying to come back into the area where the actual aggressor actually is.
Okay.
Because that's we don't want anybody going that way. We want everybody going the opposite way. So that's our first priority, is to the staff of them and locking them out, and then basically figuring out where the location of that person is. Okay. So that way we can provide everybody to safety.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we see and we watch the news and the media, and it's so don't want to put people in fear, but we just want to make people aware of various things, to watch out. And it's almost like, the packages. They say if you see someone set down a package, keep your eyes and ears open and pick up the phone and call.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that you guys would want them to do that as well.
No, absolutely. I mean, one of the big things that we pride ourselves on is not only the fact that we have a role in the hospital to provide security, but training staff is so important. Like you said, letting them. We want them to have that understanding, and that's one of the big things that we push on. Not only do we train for the simple stuff of the everyday things that they do, but also training the staff for active shooter events. We go by the three things. We want you to run. We want you to get out of there. Okay. If for some odd reason you can't get out, then you're going to hide out. And then the very last thing is, and this is always the last resort, is you're going to fight. If worse comes to worse and you're stuck in a position, you're in the room, you've already hid, you've done what you can, then we fight. But we train our staff. We do live exercises where we train our staff. We bring in actors and say, okay, this is what's actually going to happen, and we see how they react, because that's the only way that we make sure that our staff is up to par with what it is. And we do the same things, for bomb threats, mass casualties, and then even other simpler things. Just recently this year, last month we did what we called a decontamination training. Okay. I work with EM Solutions, so I am the EM face here at the hospital, but I have support from HSS with another person that comes out and actually assists me. He came out and we did a decontamination training event where we did live exercise. We put everybody in these suits and said, okay, here's what happened. Whether it be a train wreck or something that came about, there's a bunch of chemicals spilled. We've got all these victims. Here's what we need to do. We had victims that came in. We put them in the washroom. We watched how they did it. So just to make sure that they have a well-rounded training of everything that they would have to do inside of that hospital at any given time in emergency situation. Okay. So whether it be active shooter, decon, whatever it might be.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what we're preparing for.
Very good. Sounds like the hospital's in great shape, having a person at the helm with the experience and background training that you have. And Adrian, I know they're very fortunate and they're very thankful that you're there. And as a citizen of our community, I thank you for what you're doing there and look forward for many years of service out of you.
Well, thank you. I love it here. I mean, like I said, I couldn't be happier with where I'm at. Okay. The community out here is amazing. I've such a friendly community. I love it.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for those comments.
I'm looking forward to staying here for quite some time.
All right, then. Well, thank you, Adrian. And definitely would love to have you come back on sometime later on, too.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week in just a moment. Welcome back, City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have the chairman of Keep Troop Beautiful sitting with me to talk about Bring One to the Chipper, as well as other things. I have with me Howard Mingo. Howard, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, it's coming up to that time of year
Right.
where we're celebrating the Christmas, and after Christmas, everybody wants to take down the tree. And fortunately, some of them may have live trees, and like myself, have that false tree up.
Right.
But then they want to know what they can do with it, and then you're going to give us some information about what they can do with that. But before we get into that, Howard, tell us a little bit about your role as chairman of Keep Troop Beautiful.
Well, Keep Troop Beautiful is affiliated with Keep Georgia Beautiful and Keep America Beautiful. We have been in existence for about 23 years now.
Okay.
And what we try to do is do something beautiful. We want to talk about the 3 R's: reduce, recycle, and reuse. And we're county-wide, so we have several events that we have during the year, and one of those events is Bring One for the Chipper, which is coming up January 2nd.
Okay, all right. We're going to talk about that in just a moment or two. The 3 R's: reuse, recycle, and reduce.
Reduce, yes.
You know, and it's so important that, you know, it kind of what got me started doing a lot more recycling. My youngest brother, one day, he came to my home, and I think it was just a Coke can. And when I was finished with it, I just threw it in the trash can. He said, "Man, don't throw that away. You got to have something here for my son to be able to use when he comes along."
Right.
And I didn't think about it. I'm like, well, you know what? And then, of course, as we well know, that the aluminum can is one of those elements that we can use infinitely over and over and over again.
Right.
But we also want to try to reduce the clutter that we see along our streets and mainly our gateways that come into our community. What is Keep Troop Beautiful doing to try to assist with that, Howard?
Well, one of the things we do, we have a index that we look at every spring. We take cars and we go out to the same areas each year, and we rate those areas to see how well we are doing as far as keeping litter off the street. Now, one of the things I can say is that when we did the index in the spring of last year, we did show some improvement. So we think some of these things are working, but the main thing is we want people to take personal responsibility. If someone has any kind of group, even just your family, and you want to take the block that you live on and say, I'm going to keep that beautiful. Every week you can go out, pick up trash cans, a lot of liquor bottles and that type of thing that we see on certain roads. And that's your area. As a church, as a company, Boy Scout group, Girl Scout group, pick your area and we will help you with bags, gloves, and we will rate your area and we will give you signs and saying, this is my area, I'm assigned to this area, and you can keep that area beautiful. So personal responsibility is what we're trying to promote now. Okay,
very good. And, you know, talking about that, excuse me, you know, adopt a spot. Some years ago, my fraternity, we adopted a spot on Greenville Street from the Horace King Bridge all the way down to the Idea Cleaner there. And I know that there are some requirements. So help people understand that when they do an adopt a spot, there are requirements for them. Talk about those requirements, if you don't mind.
Yes. We ask you to tell us what you have done, because we actually put those numbers together and we give them to our state representatives. And we are actually graded on that. We have received awards for Troup County being one of the cleaner counties that we have. Now, it's not the cleanest in the world, as we know. But for Georgia standards, we aren't bad. So we have to turn those numbers in. So if you get 10 bags of trash, 12 bags of trash, report that to us. We'll accumulate that. Matter of fact, our code enforcement officer, who is also on Keep Troop Beautiful's board, Jim McLaughlin, was named Code Enforcement Officer of the Year for the state of Georgia for 2014. So that's really a big deal.
Yes, that's a great honor, you know. And you know, and talking about Jim, and you and I were talking before we came on, and Jim does a great job, and you talked about personal responsibility. You know, I was coming down a corridor into our town the other morning, and undoubtedly someone had a bag of trash that they were perhaps taking to the landfill or wherever, but it didn't make it there. It ended up on our streets, and it was just kind of scattered. Personal responsibility. How can people help Jim not to have to visit them with a citation? How can they help themselves?
Well, we don't have a lot of code enforcement officers here. So we have to take the responsibility ourselves. And one of the things that Jim has always pointed out, you get 6 bags of trash at your home, you put them in your pickup truck, and you head toward the collection site, and you get there and you only have 5. You know you lost one. You need to backtrack. The bag is going to be there. Pick that bag up and go take it to the site. If you don't, and Jim has to find it, and he has to go through trash, and he finds your name, a magazine, he will visit your home, and he will issue a citation. And it's my understanding that those citations are almost $400 now. So let that be an incentive. But the real incentive should be that you want your neighborhood, your county, your city to remain litter free.
That's right.
That should be your incentive.
Absolutely. You know, and so many times, you know, we see, you know, our individuals out picking up various things alongside the roadside, but if we could help by, like you say, taking on that personal responsibility,
Right.
that'd be less in our community, which makes it a more attractive, appealing
Right.
community to not only visitors, but people that are coming here to look at possibly opening up a business, starting a
Absolutely.
business. So it's an economic impact
Absolutely.
that it has to us as well. You know, for years and years, Doris Jefferson, who we both knew, was the director of Keep Troop Beautiful, did an outstanding job there, was very loved and respected in his community. And I think that there's a memorial that you all are getting ready to set up in her honor. Talk about that.
Well, Doris Jefferson, as you know, passed away last year, and believe it or not, one of the last things I talked to her about was going to Atlanta and representing Keep Troop Beautiful at the Keep Georgia event where Jim was given his award. So that was on her mind up until the very moment that she passed away. But her son has donated money in her name, and we're putting together a memorial for her. It's not set in stone yet, but we think what we're going to do is give out a $500 scholarship for the next 10 years to a deserving senior graduating out of high school in Troup County that emphasizes the 3 R's that we talked about earlier. So when we get that together, and we think we're going to get it about mid-January, we will announce it to the schools and the school board, and we will let deserving students, seniors, put in applications for that scholarship. So we think that that will represent what Doris really thought about the community. So just a great job. Her son, Derek Peavy, is backing us up on this, and we look forward to doing something for one of the students here.
Absolutely. You know, Doris was a great individual and very motivated person about, you know, the 3 R's, reduce, recycle, and reuse. And had the programs in the schools up and running very well. And, you know, the thing it says, if you get a child involved and get them hooked into it, the children sometimes go back to the home and get the parents more so involved in it. So we definitely look forward to that and being an outstanding, a long-running scholarship in Doris's honor, too.
Absolutely.
The spring, we're going to jump to the spring, and then we're going to talk about bring one to the chipper. I know that we always have the Great American Cleanup where the entire community can get involved, and that's normally in April, I believe it's April through May.
Yes, and it'll run through April, May, and that is a nationwide effort, and we will be backed by Keep Georgia Beautiful. And as we get closer to the event, we will give out times and dates, and we will have our closing event. But what we like to do is have groups such as a family, such as a church, a school, take an area, and then clean up that area, and then again re-report it. Normally we'll have a dumpster somewhere near downtown. We'll have one in West Point in Hogansville. A lot of times we'll have a tire amnesty, so tires aren't thrown over the road, and then we'll take that and we'll collect it. And we'll have a big event. Last year we had a pizza party downtown, and so it really works. But one of the things you mentioned and what I like to talk about are the children, the school kids. They really get involved in that, and we give out gifts, monetary awards for the most trash, the most unusual gift, the most participants. And we have really a good time, and the kids really they really enjoy it. So we look forward to having that in the spring, and we'll be making more announcements about that as we get into January and February.
Very good. And that's another great way, like I say, a family event, family outing. And it's a way to help keep our community clean. Now, I want to back up, and then we're going to talk about bringing one to the chip, because you mentioned it on January the 2nd. After the Christmas, people want to get rid of the Christmas tree, they can bring those out to the Davis location. Talk about that.
The Davis Road location, which is right under the water tower. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But on Saturday, January 2nd, we will have representatives there from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And we'll be there. We'll collect names. We'll ask for your name, cell phone, because we're going to call you in just a few minutes if you win, and your email address.
Okay.
And if anyone brings anything recyclable, we will put your name in a hat, and we'll have 3 really nice gift baskets.
Oh my!
And a couple of hundred people show up. We're going to pick 3 people, so your chances are going to be pretty good. And when we call folks, they are very surprised, and we'll take it to them, or they'll come back and get it. But we just want to represent there at that time. Now, we have 5 different sites.
Okay.
In LaGrange, we'll have one in West Point,
okay.
And it looks like we're going to have 2 in Hogansville. So I'll look at these addresses in Hogansville, 2601 Moody Bridge Road, plus they said they are going to have a dumpster at the police station.
Okay.
And in West Point, we're going to have a recycling station at 1601 Station Road. But we always have these 5 open here in LaGrange.
Okay.
At the Walmart Supercenter, at the fire department on Davis Road, Granger Park, the South Davis Recycling Center that we just talked about, where we'll have representatives there, and Piggly Wiggly at 1861 Roanoke Road.
Okay.
So those are open, always open, but we want people to bring those Christmas trees, bring those electronics to Davis Road. One year we had 9,000 pounds in just one day of folks bringing in electronics. That's because
9,000 pounds.
9,000 pounds. On Christmas, people get new computers, printers, and all that type of stuff, and your electronics get obsolete about the day after you buy them.
That's right.
So we have a way to get rid of everything except TVs.
Okay.
We'll take those electronics at Davis Road. We'll take your Christmas tree, your live Christmas tree, and we'll either chip it up, or we'll have fishermen. We'll take them and put them in different lakes and venues to use. It says it attracts the fish there, so it'll be put to good use.
Very good. Well, Howard, our time always slips away from us, but the main thing, January the 2nd, Saturday, from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock at the Davis Road Recycling Center.
Right. Bring
one to the chipper. And how we look forward to those other things coming up, the Great American Cleanup and the Memorial to Doris. So I just want to thank you for all that you do. And all the others, the Code Enforcement Officer Jim McLaughlin, try to help keep Troop beautiful and our community beautiful for not only those of us that live here, but those that are visiting here. So thank you very much for your efforts.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, and I want to take this time and wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas.
Well, thank you. Same to you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week coming up in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining City Week this week. My guests have been from HHS out at the West Georgia Health Center, the Director of Safety, Emergency Manager, and Safety Officer, Adrian Arriaga, as he talked about safety precautions there at the hospital, as well as how you can keep yourself safe when you are a visitor there on the campus. So by all means, make sure that you do what you can do to help them keep the campus safe. Also, I had on from Keep Troop Beautiful, the Chairman Howard Wingo, as he talked about Bring One to the Chipper that will be taking place on January the 2nd out at the Davis Road Recycling Center between the hours of 10 and 2. Come on out, bring one to the chipper, and who knows, you might just win a surprise. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed these interviews, and as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.